Darwin's hamster. Hmm. This is fucking awesome. Okay, now I hope you've seen or will check out some of my website. Now, I'm working this direction. I don't want you to think I'm ripping you off. I'll tell you right now, I've had a voting system from actually like a year and a half ago. Some of this YouTube software that I brought forward, I have a whole thing that draws a chart of all the replies to a video. And I have a voting system. And the voting system is going to be like this, it's sort of tag based. And I've thought of a system like yours, a little more like yours, but I'm going to go with the tag based to keep it short, like you're doing. And it's either a yes or no vote or a gradient, like 0 to 100% or 0 to 1 ratio, or kind of in a percentage style, you know what I mean? So it's more like you tag, and the tags have these percentages, and all the all the tags have their own percentage of the person that gave the tag, and it all adds up to voting, and you can take all kinds of cross sections for vote. Now, my philosophy with this is definitely you have a bunch of different groups. Like with this video co-op I want to make, you have a place to store videos, but then there's sites like mine, or well, you're not playing videos, but there's other sites that use that can rely on it no matter what. My structured conversation or debate site does, you will still have access to the videos, the same videos I'm using. And so that's the kind of the model. And what I would love is if in your site, export some XML, or better yet, I'm starting to learn the beauty of JSON, and export some of that data, and I will export my data, and we can use each other's, like you can have an iframe with example videos of the concepts or whatever. I don't know, whatever you think of. I mean, I really love that you're doing this. Now, I'm kind of okay. I'm mixed bias, but I'm not really that biased. I'm not a purist about things, but I am a little bit biased against Microsoft technology, but only because I worked in it for years. I totally understand working in it. No problems. Go ahead and work in it. But whatever, it's an irony or whatever. I think it's great what you're creating. I totally don't want to, not cooperate because of that. I think it's great. I will cooperate, and I've used Microsoft software. I made a living off of developing Microsoft software, Windows software, for years. So but I am going to mention that because I also worked, I during the antitrust stuff in like '95 and on, I argued online. It's like that, I was surprised. I'd heard for years about FUD, and then when I read the actual emails and stuff, and we want to get, make their kids have to drop out of college, and stuff like this, I just thought, and they really actually use this idea of FUD. It bugged me. And then the people I was arguing against were like, well, you make your living, you make Windows software. I was also working Solaris, doing server software, but whatever. And I thought there was some legitimacy to that, so I sort of moved away from it. And in a way, it's fortunate. A lot of that kind of software, I mean, I think you do the kind of software that. Did I mention that? Okay, so I went out to, it's pool league night, and I went out to pool league, but the other team didn't show up, so we automatically won. So we went over to this other pub, which is really quite nice. There's a little Japanese garden in the back and stuff, and played some pool and stuff. So yes, I've drunk a little. But my point, which I was going to make a video to Heroin Church about, you know, I think it's great people that don't drink at all or whatever, but I do like to drink, and other mild, not too moderate, vices or whatever. And one thing is, what I would like to be judged on is whether or not I'm consistent. Like if I say something to you now about programming, am I going to stand behind it later? Yes, I am. I'm past that. I figured out, yes, it doesn't affect that per se. I have some juice now. Some, what is it? It's pineapple mango. Mm. But, So anyway, I really like your site. I totally want to take part. This idea is very similar to what I'm doing. I hope you look at my site and can see how it's going in that direction. It's funny because I consider what you're doing the bottom level in terms of that's the nitty gritty of that's what we need to do, track these ideas. And I'm starting from sort of the top down. But in reality, yeah, I've developed some of these things where there's some voting systems. But also, what I like is even like let's say I had a voting system and you had a voting system, and we can enter these same kinds of ideas. I'm into making that abstraction that says, well, that's really the same thing, and my site can show your version of that and interpret it, and your site can have exported of mine. I think it's great. Really, really, let's cooperate in that sense. Not that we're gonna work on each other's software, though I'm open to that too. But actually just that we have interfaces. Let's invent a conversation logic interface. That's what I've always thought. You need more than one person. If we were to invent like a subset of XML or a JSON version or whatever to exchange conversational data structures, little bits of abstraction, these little ideas and tags and concepts. Oh, that would be great. We might create a whole ecosystem of that kind of data and databases that keep it and analyze it all kinds of different ways. So yeah, I think it's just great. I want to be involved, and I hope that we can integrate our efforts. And if you haven't checked out my site, please do. I'll put a link in here. It's not totally complete, but I'm going with a different kind of detailed thing, like that time code tool, and then organizing groups like you have. And that's where I'm going with the groups where you could organize. Now, one other thing I wanted to say, I meant to say this earlier. I hope this is really heard and you watch all the way. I know you will. But could you please, I don't think I'm pronatalist. Pronatalist is go forth and multiply. You should have a baby. I want to be a grandparent, and this kind of thing. I am pro-choice. Okay, I happen to have kids, and I happen to think I would choose to have kids, and I think that's my right. But I don't say everybody should. I think everybody should think really hard about it, and if they're not sure, don't have them. So I'm pro-choice with a slight leaning towards, don't feel like you should have them. Like it should be 50-50. So I would really like to request for it to be fair. If I have to call myself pronatalist, I guess I'll do it, but I have an objection. So I think it would be good, and I'm assuming it's not too hard, but think about this if you have a philosophical difference, because hopefully you won't, because I really want to be pro-choice. I think there's a middle. I believe that everybody should think real hard about it, and some people will decide they're not going to reproduce, and some are thinking that they'll risk it, they'll do it all, and both do with full knowledge as much as possible. And I'm saying individuals should choose that. Now, if the fact that I chose to have children puts me in two categories, fine, because I have a meta category where I believe an individual should choose which way to go, and I really respect people that choose not to. And I think if people are willing to risk and do it and try to do it, and they, that's great in proportion to how much they really take responsibility and figure out what it all means. But, yeah, I might have chosen to do it, but I think that the main philosophy, like the social philosophy, the philosophy I would argue with other people, is that you have to take it really seriously, and it's a personal decision, and you might end up in either opinion. So yeah, I would like a third category. Now, if it defeats the sense of logic that you use, then you have a very classical sense of logic. I guess that's okay. I will be willing to say I'm pro-natalist because I look at my life and I go, well, yeah, I had kids and I would have kids again, and if I could replay it and I don't regret it and the rest. So, awesome. I'm glad you're working on a website. That's great. I want to have a network of websites that embed and iframe each other like, let's do that. Okay, cheers.